Okay, Year 12 mathematicians, solving quadratics is one of those key skills that I know we take for granted a lot of the time, especially when our calculator is able to do it for us. But what we're going to look at is making sure we're using the most efficient methods, and we know how to use our calculator when it actually asks us to show the working when we're solving. So first one we've got here, x squared minus 8x minus 20 equals 0. If we're solving a nice simple quadratic like that, you'll probably find it's quicker to factorize it than it is to type it into your calculator. Okay? So when we've got a nice simple double bracket quadratic, we're going to put our x in both. We can see we've got 1 plus 1 minus, because we're multiplying to make minus 20. And then we're thinking of two numbers that multiply to make 20 with a difference of 8. We know we've got minus 10 and plus 2. So if that's equal to 0, we write our two solutions, and we're all done. If I've got a more difficult one, you know the ones where a is not 1, we've got a coefficient of x squared. It might be that it factorizes, but we can use our calculator to help us. Okay, so if I'm asked to show all of my working, I can't just produce the answers, I have to show how I got there. So if I type my quadratic into my calculator, it tells me my values are 2. So I get x equals 2 and minus 25 over 6. So those are my two solutions, but I need to show the method I did to get there. So what I'm going to do is reverse engineer the factorizing that must have got to those two answers. So we know it's still going to be 2 brackets. It's still going to equal 0. So to get x equals 2 as one of the solutions, I would have to have x minus 2 inside my bracket. So I fill that in. To get minus 25 over 6, I know I must have had 6x plus 25. So if you think when we reverse engineer, normally we'd minus the 25 divided by 6. So now we're taking the x and timesing by 6 and adding the 25. So now it looks like I factorized it myself and then wrote the answers down. So if I'm asked to show a method, there it is. If I get a nice simple one like this, x squared minus 8x plus 4 equals 0, but it doesn't factorize, I could use my calculator. But another efficient method that you should be reasonably confident at by the time we're in year 12 is completing the square. And again, you might find that completing the square is sometimes quicker than typing stuff into your calculator. So if I complete the square for this one, I get x minus 4 squared, so I'm halving my 8 like normal. I'm going to take away 4 squared, so that's 16, but I'm going to add on 4, so I get minus 12 equals 0. And then I can solve by doing my normal rearranging, so I'm going to add 12, square root it, and then add the 4. So you might be able to see that I can get my x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 12 quite quickly without actually going and reverting to my calculator. So sometimes that can be more efficient, but if we wanted to use a calculator, we could. Finally, if I've got this nice, more complicated one with a 5x squared, 17x minus 2 equals 0, and it's not going to factorize, and it's not an easy one to complete the square for, now is where my calculator is going to be really, really helpful. But again, I still need to show a method potentially for certain questions. So this would be where we would do our quadratic formula. So if I write x equals minus b, so minus 17 plus or minus the square root of 17 squared minus 4 times 5 times minus 2, all divided by 2 times 5, but then I just type it into my calculator. So rather than actually typing the quadratic formula in, I'm just going to type in the quadratic to my calculator and then get the answers from there. So I get x equals minus 17 plus or minus the square root of 329 over 10. So I've got my method shown with my substitution to the quadratic formula, but I let my calculator do the heavy lifting. Okay, so make sure you're happy with all of your methods for solving quadratics and you know which ones to use and when. Subscribe for more stuff, more content from us.